Welcome, seekers of the mind, to another deep exploration of human consciousness. Today, we embark on a fascinating journey, bridging seemingly distant worlds. The world of modern psychology, pioneered by the Swiss giant Carl Gustav Jung and the ancient wisdom of Gautama Buddha. At first glance, these two figures appear separated by millennia and culture, one born amidst the towering Alps of Switzerland, the other amidst the foothills of the Himalayas. Yet, both were deeply invested in the same fundamental quest, understanding the intricate workings of the human mind and its pivotal role in our well-being. For both Jung and the Buddha, the mind held more secrets than met the conscious eye. They both, in their own ways, stumbled upon what we now call the unconscious. To fully grasp the weight of their discoveries, however, it is crucial to understand the foundation upon which their ideas rested, their views on consciousness itself. The Buddha's perspective on consciousness is strikingly different from the way Western thought traditionally approaches it. Consciousness, to the Buddha, isn't a fixed entity or a primary essence. Instead, it is a phenomenon that arises from the contact between our sense organs and the external world. Imagine it like this. We possess 6 sense organs, the 5 familiar ones of sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell, but in Buddhism, the mind itself is considered a 6th sense organ. These organs interact with their corresponding objects: images, sounds, tastes, feelings, smells, and, perhaps most intriguingly, thoughts. In this framework, thoughts are not produced by the mind but rather appear to the mind, much like external sounds are heard by our ears. The very belief that thoughts originate from within us, from some essential self, is considered a mark of ignorance. It is akin to believing that the sounds we hear are produced by our ears, rather than coming from the world around us. This model carries profound implications. Our experience of the world isn't an objective reality, but a representation constructed by our limited senses. A blind person standing before the Mona Lisa experiences a different reality than a sighted observer, yet both experiences are equally valid. The Buddha succinctly captured this in his teaching. In this fathom-long body, with its perceptions and thoughts, I proclaim the world to be. In essence, our bodies and sensory faculties define the world we know. But this understanding leads to an intriguing dilemma, one that neither the Buddha nor his followers could entirely ignore, and one that deeply resonated with Carl Jung. If consciousness arises only when the senses engage with objects, how do we explain the persistence of past experiences, particularly those that are emotionally charged? If the events that once caused suffering are long gone, why do the echoes of that suffering continue to influence our present? Why does the man whose cold and distant mother shaped his childhood continue to struggle in his adult relationships, even long after she has passed? This question led both the Yogacara school of Buddhism and Carl Jung to a similar conclusion. Consciousness alone is insufficient to explain the complexity and continuity of human experience. There must be a deeper, background region of the mind that continues to operate even when consciousness fades, a reservoir that retains and integrates all our momentary experiences. The Buddhists called this the alaya vijnana, or storehouse consciousness. Jung, drawing from a Western psychological framework, called it the unconscious. Jung's concept of the unconscious encompassed everything we know but aren't currently thinking about, everything sensed but not consciously noted, all our involuntary feelings, thoughts, memories, and desires, and even the future possibilities forming within us. For both Jung and the Yogacarans, this unconscious realm was akin to dark matter in physics, unseen yet essential to explaining the reality we perceive. It is the very foundation upon which our sense of self is built. Conscious experience is fleeting, like the sound of a bell that fades into silence. Without the unconscious as a repository, our lives would be reduced to a series of disconnected moments, devoid of the narrative coherence that creates our sense of I and world. However, while both traditions acknowledged this hidden depth of the psyche, Jung ventured further. He observed that the unconscious wasn't merely a passive storage unit, but seemed to actively seek balance with the conscious mind. He called this phenomenon unconscious compensation. Through analyzing dreams, Jung found that a person's unconscious would often counterbalance their conscious attitudes, Someone who acted aggressively by day might dream of guilt, while someone who suppressed anger might dream of violent outbursts. This dynamic, corrective function of the unconscious wasn't explicitly addressed in the Yogacara model, which primarily viewed the storehouse consciousness as a repository that carried forward the echoes of past experiences. Jung's most profound and controversial insight came from an even deeper question. If consciousness reaches into the unconscious through dreams, could the unconscious itself reach into something even deeper? This led him to the concept of the collective unconscious. He noticed that his patients, regardless of their backgrounds, would sometimes dream of symbols and themes that had no basis in their personal experiences, yet bore striking resemblances to ancient myths, religious iconography, and universal patterns found across cultures. This suggested the existence of a shared, deeper layer of the psyche, a kind of psychic reservoir containing the collective wisdom, fears, and archetypal stories of all humankind. It was, in Jung's view, the birthplace of our individual psyches. This idea would likely have been both fascinating and troubling to Buddhist scholars. While Buddhism acknowledges that suffering is universal and that sentient beings share karmic imprints, the focus remains on the liberation of individual consciousness. Jung, on the other hand, was suggesting that our individual psyches are not fully our own, but woven from the same archetypal fabric that has shaped human experience for millennia. If the Buddhist path aims to liberate the individual from suffering, could it extend to liberating the collective unconscious itself? Or is the collective unconscious merely another layer of illusion that must be transcended? The parallels and divergences between Jungian psychology and Buddhist philosophy offer us a richer understanding of the mind's vast and mysterious landscape. They remind us that what we perceive as I is merely the tip of an iceberg, hinting at depths that continue to beckon our exploration. Whether we follow Jung into the realm of archetypes or the Buddha on the path to liberation, both perspectives ultimately point us toward greater self-awareness and a deeper engagement with the human experience.